Hello everyone, hope everybody's having a great day. I'm coming at you with another deck profile today. This time it is zombies, and I didn't do this intentional because it's October and Halloween and whatnot. No, this is simply because I built this deck just with the intention of just having some fun online, because I haven't played Zombie Lightsworn since I believe 20 early 2018, maybe late 2017, when I was messing around with a 60 card variant with grass, and I had so much fun with that deck. That deck, oh my god, it was so good. I would make like Omega twice plus Trish, like I would make Nat Beast. It was just so much fun to play that deck. So I haven't really played, and I did play a variant of zombies with after the new structure deck came out. But I didn't play Zombie Lightsworn. It was just like a pure zombie type of build. But now I have an updated, finally, like after so many years. I'm playing Zombie Lightsworn again, Zombie Sworn, and it has been so much fun. This deck, I'm not even trying to hype this deck up. This deck is so powerful and so strong, and this card is it's oh my god, this card is it's perfect. It's literally perfect. Look at it. It's it just like as soon as this card got reprinted, I really wanted to play this card. And as I've seen like competitive builds of like Thunder Dragon playing this card, and it's really powerful. It's really good for Thunder Dragons, but man, is it powerful for this deck. It was this deck was made for like a chaos, something with Lightsworn. And zombies just takes it to the next level because Shiranui is a one card chaotic chaos ruler, the chaotic magical dragon. It's a one card, level 8 synchro. It just oh my god, I'm so excited to share this deck profile with you guys because I've been like playtesting it online, like against competitive decks, like dinos. Oh my god, I've been playing so much dinos online. It's insane. So many dino players. Yeah, it's such a good deck. I don't blame people for building it. But man, this deck, Zombie World shuts off so many decks, so many Dragon Link, dinos. Oh my god, it hits dinos so hard. And Noble, Noble Knights or Infernobles, I mean, is it hits that deck really hard too. So I'm very excited. Let's get into the deck profile. So I started off playing two solitaire. I mean three solitaire, but I cut it down because I was drawing way too many starters and not enough extenders. So I cut it down to two, and I believe it's the right decision because solitaire really loses to Ash like big time, and that really hurts. You actually want I prefer like a normal summon that has an effect, possibly on summon, and then if it baits out a hand trap, at least it's not a one for one necessarily. Like they would lose a card, but the body would still be on field. But with solitaire, that's not the case. Unfortunately, with solitaire, it's tribute it, and then if they ash it, it really sucks. So I prefer to play three of other cards just to help us push through hand traps. And I preferably like to draw into my extenders more. But anyway, it's three solitaire, and I'm playing three Unizombie. So this is actually excuse me. So this card on its own gets you the level 8. This card on its own unfortunately does not. But it is a card that can still like um, unclog your hand, and at the same time it can send from the graveyard, from the deck to the grave. So it does two things that are very good. Plus it's a tuner, so that's why it's very relevant to play Unizombie at 3. And then again, if this card gets ashed on its first effect, we can still use the second effect, which I really like. So it's not like we're stuck after they ash us. We can still possibly do another play depending on what we open up in our hand. So that's definitely why I feel safer when I normal summon Unizombie. This is definitely, of course, a much higher ceiling with Solitaire, but Unizombie is always kind of like I would say, safer route if you don't have like extenders in your hand. And then if you could at least like resolve his second effect to send from the hand, that would be pretty nice. We're playing three Mizuki. Mizuki is actually like it's just I don't know. Mizuki's Mizuki. I like it at three because Zombie World makes everything in your graveyard a zombie. I've revived like extra deck monsters that are not zombies with this card, and it's just insane. Like after my opponent has outed my extra deck monsters, I would just summon him back with Mizuki, and it's oh my god, it's like it's so good, so good. And then we play the one Gozuki. Gozuki's still very strong because it's a once per turn foolish for zombies, so it's really good. It can foolish any zombie, which is nice. So can Unizombie. It's nice that Unizombie can also send from the hand as well. But Unizombie can actually send Gozuki, and then Gozuki has that graveyard effect where it can banish another zombie and then summon a zombie from your hand. So that can also unclog your hand, which is really nice. And then like later on, if you have access to Mizuki, you could revive Gozuki and use its first effect to send from your deck to the grave. So Gozuki is just a really strong one of. Um, I guess that's it for the old school or older school zombies. Yeah, yeah, it's just I like all these cards, man. Mizuki is it definitely puts in so much work. And then like so many cards, even in like your main, like there's cards in your main deck. Like we play Chaos Creator that puts Mizuki back into your deck, or it could even like summon it from the banish zone, so you could reuse it again. It's just so good. So good to have access to three Mizuki. Plus, because we play three, there's just a better chance of milling it. And then two Necro World Banshee, and then one Doom King, and then one Glow Bloom. I think this is a very decent ratio because Banshee is actually a very, very powerful card in this meta, in this deck. And actually, I'll just put the one Plague Spreader right here as well because that's going to be the last of our zombies in the main deck. So yeah, so Banshee it gets you access to Zombie World. It's a level 4. It's a dark, like it was made for this deck. All its stats are amazing. It's an 1800 attacker, which is just that's just the dressing on top. And then so it's really nice that it's a quick effect. That's what I love. And you're gonna see that there's cards. We have other cards in the main deck that actually help us get access to Banshee and Doom King. And it's just so relevant that she's a quick effect, and it's extremely relevant that Doom King is actually it actually triggers like during your opponent's standby as well if you control a field spell. Glow Bloom at 1 is pretty nice because we could get it's so easy to get access to this card. You could send it with Unizombie, you could send it with Gozuki, you can even send it again with another extender that I'm going to show you just in a bit. I like having access to Plague Spreader because we do play Halka Fibrax, and Halka Fibrax gets us access to Plague Spreader from the deck and Glow Bloom as well as Unizombie. But I think it's more important to summon either one of these off Halka Fibrax just because they trigger in the graveyard. So that clause being not able to activate them on the field is not relevant, just because they're graveyard effectors is really nice. Yeah, guys. So that is it for the zombies in total. I'm not sure actually how many zombies we're playing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So 14, it's a pretty decent number. It's a 46 card deck, by the way. Next for our Lightsworn engine, we have 3 Raiden. And then we have 3 Wolf. And then we have Felice for the last Lightsworn. So I like Raiden is awesome. The mill too. Obviously, you don't know what you're about to mill, but there's just like such a high chance that you're gonna mill something that's gonna benefit you. It's we have so many cards that have great like graveyard effects as well as like cards that are decent to draw. And then Wolf, obviously just the best to mill him, obviously. But also there's like neat interactions with like Plague Spreader where you could like put him to the top of the deck, summon Plague Spreader, and then if you have like access to Raiden or access to like Charge of the Light Brigade, then you're definitely gonna mill a Wolf, which is really nice. Same thing applies for Felice. Felice is nice because Felice is a tuner. Like it's really good that she's a tuner level 4, a light. And then she has that nice on-field effect if you ever need to use it, which is you contribute this card, target a monster your opponent controls, destroy that target, then send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard. that is awesome because if you resolve her, not only does your opponent like lose a monster or bait out a negate, but if she resolves, you get to mill the top three cards, which is really nice. That is it for the Lightsworn. I decided not to play. Um, Crap. Her name's escaping my mind right now. But the level 3, only because she's also a normal summon that it's kind of similar to Shiranui Solitaire in a sense, where if she gets negated, you're losing a card. You're losing a card from your hand, which is it's really tough. So I'd rather have cards that don't neg me advantage. But if they get negated, like by Ash, Imperm, Veiler, I don't like lose card advantage. You know what I mean? So I decided not to play her. I just figured like Raiden, 3 Raiden was enough, and like the 3 wolves. Some people play 2. I like 3. I just love milling these cards because I need to build the board as fast as possible. One thing about this deck that I really like, man, is it could definitely play through Nibiru. It could definitely play through hand traps. I think the biggest weakness of this deck is if you're going second and like you're under, say, floodgates. I think that's the probably the toughest. Maybe like Winda, summon limit. Not necessarily there can be only one because there's just so many types in this deck that you could easily out there can be only one, but it's more so like preventing you from summoning like more than twice or the special summon clause. I think that's what sucks the most. So for our other extenders, we're playing the 3 Chaos Valkyria. So this card is extremely important in the deck because not only is she just an amazing extender from your hand, but when you mill her and you banish her from the graveyard with a number of cards that you play in the main deck, so it's not hard to banish her. You could banish her with the Chaos Ruler as well. You send any like light or dark from your deck to the graveyard. And remember when I said Banshee is a quick effect, so it doesn't really matter that she can't use her effects that turn. During your opponent's draw phase, you could banish Banshee and activate Zombie World from your deck. Also, same thing applies for Doom King. If you already had access to Zombie World, you could send Doom King with Chaos Valkyria. And then during your opponent's standby phase, he'd be able to activate, which is, oh my god, so good, so good. She's a light. She's a level 4. Um, then we play the Rocket Engine, which is just the 2 Rocket Tracer and 3 Quick Launch when we get to the spells. Rocket Tracer just helps us get into... This card is so important in this deck. This card really puts you ahead of the game. If you resolve this card, you're going to add a card to your hand, or you could just choose to send everything. Like, you could just send everything. If there was nothing good that you would have added to your hand from the excavation, then instead of just adding that card, you could just simply send everything because it would have more value in the graveyard. But we'll talk more about that once we get to the extra deck. So yeah, that's why we play 2 Rocket Tracer and the 3 Quick Launch. Again, it's a tuner. It's a level 4. It is a dark. Oh my god, it's so good. And then obviously we play the White Dragon and Black Dragon because we do play a Chaos Space, and they do like trigger Valkyria. They do replace themselves. They are level 4s to help us get into Chaos Ruler much easier. They help us link climb. That is it for, actually, you know what? For the other extender, we're playing 1 Photon Thrasher. This deck, I'm going to tell you right now, it's so pretty, and it's only going to get prettier. I'm going to work on making this deck just look better, just getting access to Chaos Valkyrias like in Collector's Rare. Oh my god, that's one thing that I really like about it. Not only is it powerful, but it looks fantastic. And it is, actually, you know what, just really quick, I actually didn't check, but I believe this deck is also extremely budget. Like, every card in this deck, in the main deck, in the extra deck, has been reprinted, is easily accessible, with the exception of maybe 1 card in the main deck. But you can play something else instead, like easily play something else, and you would not hinder the deck at all. I think, yeah, everything in the extra deck, everything in the main deck, I think is easily like accessible, and nothing's over $10. I believe everything is under $10. So you could definitely get this. Actually, one card is about $16, which is the Chaos Creator. But anyway, back to Photon Thrasher. So Photon Thrasher is actually a decent starter, decent extender because it's a level 4, first of all. It's a light. It summons itself when you control no monsters. I play the one of because I do play Reinforcements of the Army, and it's just a nice card to have in your opening hand. It's not necessarily like necessary, but it's just nice to have access. I might bump it up to 2. Um, I actually, if you draw this and Raiden, it's actually really nice because if you special summon this and then normal summon the Raiden, and then you attempt to use Raiden's effect, and for some reason they like negate it, Valor, or Ash or whatever, you can still go into your Chaos Ruler because you had access to a level 4. Again, we're trying to have like as many extenders as possible, and then we play the one Trick Clown, just an amazing card to send for cost from your hand. It is a great card. Like you could use it with Unizombie. Say they if you draw this with Unizombie and they Ash Unizombie's deck to the grave effect, you can at least like send this from your hand, and then you'll have access to Chaos Ruler that way. It's also just a great card to mill off Charge of the Light Brigade, off Raiden, off Chaos Ruler, which is really nice. And for the last of the monsters, we have Chaos Levianeer and we have the Chaos Creator. These cards are very, very powerful. I would say Chaos Creator is it's a bit more important, I want to say, because you're trying to push through like hand traps, through boards, and Chaos Creator definitely allows that to happen because even if like, if you bait out like most of your opponent's negates or all of them, you can at least summon this, and then you could target 3 of your banished monsters and then start to build your board from there. So Chaos Creator, very, very important. It's Chaos cards, searchable through Chaos space. So is Chaos Dragon Levianeer, and also that the Rip is really nice. The Destruction is nice. The Special Summon is nice because we play a high count of lights. I want to say you're going to be able to resolve the pop effect as well as the special summon effect a bit more than the shuffle, to shuffle from one card from their hand back into the deck, only because we play a higher count of lights than we do darks. So that is it for the monsters, guys. You can mess around with like ratios and stuff like that. Just make it your own, I guess. Now for the spells, we have powerful spells in this deck that do help us push, that do help us extend. Starting off with 3 Chaos Space, and then 3 Charge of the Light Brigade, and then 3 Quick Launch. 3 very, very extremely powerful spells that we play in the deck to help us push, to help us extend. Charge of the Light Brigade not being once per turn, along with Quick Launch not being once per turn, allows us to really push and fill and fuel our graveyard with Charge of the Light Brigade, add Raiden. It's always nice. And then, as you saw, there's just so many cards in the main deck that are so nice to mill. And then Quick Launch, obviously giving access to the Rocket Tracer is really good. And then Chaos Space gives us access to Levianeer, to Chaos Creator, to White Dragon, Black Dragon, and also Chaos Valkyria. So it gives us access to many of our very powerful cards. So that is why we max out on all 3 of these cards. And then we play 2 Zombie World. I'd rather play 2 Zombie World than 3 and then 1 Banshee. I'd rather play 2 Banshee because Banshee is a monster that we can actually use to synchro into Chaos Ruler, and we can also use her to link climb and then get more value out of her because we can just banish her for free to activate Zombie World from the hand. A lone Zombie World doesn't give us as much value as a Banshee, so that's why we play the 2, and we play the 2 Zombie World because if we do mill 1, at least we have access to another one in the deck. And then also we play extra deck monster that gets us this card back anyway, so even if we mill it. And then we have 3 one-ofs. It's Reinforcement of the Army, it's the Search Raiden, and Photon Thrasher. And then 1 Monster Reborn. Monster Reborn just really good just because you mill a lot. So like, sending cards, my cat is always going crazy during deck profiles. I think she's just as hyped up as I am. But anyway, Monster Reborn is just really good. Again, Charge the Light Brigade, Chaos Space, just so many cards that we're gonna fuel the graveyard with, that Monster Reborn can take. It's always going to be live. So it's a really good extender. And then Foolish Burial, obviously, it's one of the best cards in the deck. It gets you access to anything. It gets you Mizuki, gets you a free body with Trick Clown, with Wolf. It gets you Doom King because you're gonna send Doom King or send the Glow Bloom. It gets you Zombie World because you're gonna send Banshee. It gets you so much, man. If this card, it can never come back to more than one. Can never come back to more than one. For the extra deck, the MVP of the deck is definitely Chaos Ruler. This card it's perfection. It's perfection for this deck. You excavate the top five and you add any light or dark, and then you send everything to the graveyard. Everything else to the graveyard. It's so good because even if you excavate like cards like Chaos Space, they're gonna be live because after like you banish cards that can't be normal summon set, or set, you could always shuffle them or put them to the top of the bottom of the deck, draw a card, so get that free hand advantage just because you melt Chaos Space off this card. And then it adds you so much, guys. It's like it adds you Raiden, it adds you your extenders like Chaos Valkyrie, it adds you Chaos Dragon Levianeer, it adds you Chaos Creator, it adds you White Dragon, Black Dragon, it adds you cards that you can potentially pitch off like your Nightmares. That will be very good in the grave. And then even if nothing, like I mentioned before, if nothing is worth adding to your hand, then you could just send everything to the graveyard. You know, even you don't have to. That's an optional effect to add that monster, light or dark. You don't have to do that. You could just send everything, which is awesome. And then it has the amazing effect of bringing itself back from the graveyard by banishing a light and a dark. So not only do you fuel your banish zone, right, for cards like Chaos Creator, for cards like Chaos Space, to get Valkyria's effect off as well. Not only does it do that, but it special summons itself back from the graveyard, and then if you overlay into a rank 8, you can just keep getting that value back. Another thing to note is even if you summon him with his effect and you link him off, he gets banished, but the Chaos Creator and Chaos Space can put him back. A Chaos Creator can actually shuffle, put him back into the extra deck, or special summon him. So you have the option. So even if you wanted to resolve him more than once, you're able to do that with other cards in your main deck. That's the first one. The second and the last level 8 Synchro is going to be Boral Savage Dragon. This card does not need any explanation. We make level 8 Synchros, no problem, and this card negates any card or effect. It's a very strong Omni negate. It's a dark, it's a dragon. FA Dawn Dragster is also a very good option to go into if you know you're playing against a control deck, maybe like Invoked, Dogmatica. Even if you're playing like, you know, a Shaddoll variant or anything like that, they're going to need their spells. They're going to need some of their traps to resolve. So it's nice to be able to have access to Dawn Dragster. So as soon as you summon it, you know, it's live. You can easily you summon it with Unizombie in any level 4. Unizombie in any level 4, like even if you've summoned this card earlier in the turn and then later on in the turn you had access to like Mizuki, you could revive Unizombie, and then any level 4 in Unizombie becomes FA Dawn Dragster. So it's fairly easy to make. That is it for the Synchros, only 3 Synchros. Now we're going to move on to the links. We have a good amount of link 2s actually. So we have Halka Fibrex, we have Barricade Blocker, and we have IP, and then we have the Nightmares, Phoenix, and Cerberus. Guys, one other thing about this deck is that there's so much space in this extra deck. It depends, like, it's not, like, so many cards in this extra deck are actually, like, interchangeable and optional. Like, if you want, you can play something else than Dawn Dragster. You can play something else than Nightmare Cerberus. Phoenix, I would say, is necessary, so I'd keep Phoenix. But Cerberus, you could play something else. IP, you can play something else. Just because these cards aren't cards that always come up. IP is also a card that doesn't necessarily always come up. It's just nice because you can Unicorn on your opponent's turn. You can IP on your opponent's turn. You can Phoenix on your opponent's turn. You can make an indestructible access code talker, which is nice. So it just so many good things about this card. But again, like I'm actually gonna show you other options that you could play in the extra deck, because I actually have some ready to the side, um, just because how diverse and how like lenient the extra deck can be, pretty much. But all these cards, well, these cards have amazing utility. Again, IP is more of a reactive card during your opponent's turn, but these cards have so much utility. Obviously, Nightmare Cerberus, destroying special summon monsters, Phoenix, back row, and then their co-linked effects are nice too. Like Phoenix's co-linked effect, not be destroyed by battle, so you could protect your Appaloosa. And then Halka I think, is worth playing in the deck because it gives you access to Glow Bloom, Plague Spreader, Unizombie, which is just enough on its own to play this card. So it's easy to link climb with this card as well, because you make a link too with any of your like synchros, like Tracer, Unizombie, Plague Spreader, whatever. And then you can summon the Needle, Halka and then summon whatever tuner you need from the deck. And then you could link climb. You could get access to Doom King faster, which is nice. Barricade Borg Blocker is, I feel, also another necessary card that you should play in this deck, because there are times where you have to, you got to unclog your hand. There's just so much stuff that you need in your graveyard, and Barricade Blocker can help you extend depending on what you drew. And it's simply two monsters with different names. So what's nice is that you could use your opponent's Nibiru token. Like if they Nibiru you, right? If they use Nibiru and like they Nibiru this, and like you have this in the grave, you could bring this back, use this and the token, make Barricade Borg Blocker, and just like continue to extend, which is really nice. Yeah, so that's why we play these cards. Very, very powerful cards. All have their very important uses, some more than others. And then for the only link 3 we play is Nightmare Unicorn. It's just awesome removal. It combos very well with Access Code Talker, because Access Code Talker, you want to get Access Code Talker as, you know, as much attack as possible. And because you play Unicorn, you can, not only can you discard maybe a really good card from your hand to the grave that you're going to use later in the turn, you're going to spin a card, and then you're going to link climb into Access Code Talker, and you're going to have that link 3 to target, so you could gain that 3k, which is really nice. Having this card go to 4300 or 5300 is awesome. And like sometimes, very rarely, you could link off Appaloosa with like, you know, Nightmare Unicorn or like another 3 cards, and like have this card gain 4k, which is awesome. It doesn't really come up, but it can. Access Code Talker, guys, this card, you have to get access to this card. No pun intended. This card is so good. It's so insane that they can't respond. They cannot respond to his activation of anything. They can't respond when he attempts to gain the effect. They can't respond when he pops cards. So if they have cards that need to respond to activations of monsters like Mechaba, like Dragoon, so many cards like Solemn Strike, you know, any cards, if they didn't already assuming they didn't Solemn Strike this card already, but you know, you never know. Just so many cards that need to react to activations cannot react to this card. So they basically have to stare this down and just take the beating. You summon this, you gain the attack, they can't respond, you attack over Dragoon, you pop everything else, and it's so hard for so many decks to recover after that. For the last link, we play Appaloosa. I feel like Appaloosa is another important card in the deck, just because she gives you those monster negates, and it gets your monsters off the field, so you gain access. You know, you fuel your grave, and at the same time, you get access to an Appaloosa. It can also save you from Nibiru, so it's really nice to have access to this card. Just summon it as your 5th summon, possibly, and then, you know, be safe from Nibiru, and just continue your plays from there. And then it's just really good against generally a lot of decks. Dinos, you know, negate Misk, negate Oviraptor, negate negate Ecclesia, negate Alistair, negate what's her name? Why is her name is Isolde? There we go. All right, that is it for the links, guys. Now for the XZs, we play the 1 Abyss Dweller. Abyss Dweller is really good against a decent amount of decks, I would say, specifically dinos. Just because like dino, they need to activate Misk, they need to activate Baby Ceresaurus. So if you don't have access to like your zombie world, like if you just didn't draw optimal enough and you're able to, you're not able to access zombie world, but you have two level fours, then Abyss Dweller is definitely a very good option actually to make. And then it's just really good against like a lot of rogue strategies as well. Like if you ever like run against Orcus or anything like that. Another card that you could consider is playing number 60. It's just a really decent card because if you don't draw like again too great, but you have access to two level fours, at least you can get the draw two and the discard, which is really good. So if you draw two cards and then you draw a card that's really good in the graveyard, you could discard that card. Or if you draw two cards that are good in your hand, and then you could discard something else, like you could draw Valkyria, cards like that where it could help you extend Chaos Space. And then for the last two XEs are two rank 8s, and that is Hope Harbinger and number 22 Zombie Stein. So Hope Harbinger is just very powerful. It's a very powerful card because it negates spells and then it redirects the attack. So even like if you have this in Appaloosa and they like bait out two negates with Appaloosa, she can be anywhere from 800 to 1600, and then that's fairly easy to attack over. So you could activate, Hope Harbinger, protect Appaloosa. Their opponent, their monster will die. Sometimes I just summon it in defense just because I don't want to easily lose to like, I don't want to lose to uh, Lightning Storm pretty much. So it's 2500 attack. It's big enough. They'd have to like commit a good amount just to get over this anyway. And then even if you value the monster negates over the spell negate, depends on the matchup, you can just let this die. You could still activate the effect, have them attack Hope, and then have it die, and then at least you still have your monster negates. Zombie Stein is a good option. You do play like Chaos Creator as your level 8, Levianeer, and then Chaos Ruler. That's mostly how you make these cards anyway. So they're all level 8 darks. So you could easily make Zombie Stein. And then what's nice about Zombie Stein, it can negate anything. It's a 4500 attacker. So like if you get access to two level 8s, and then you could just overlay into 4500. Like this can beat over stuff. This can beat over a Dragoon, beat over it, and then you have that interruption where if your opponent like activates a card or effect, or not a card or effect, but you during either player's turn, you can just discard a card, detach one. This changes to defense, and then you target a card on the field, negate its effects. So this can hit anything. It can hit monsters, spells, traps, which is really nice. And then it's a dark, and it's a zombie. So like even if you didn't have Zombie World and you activated his effect, this will still trigger Doom King, which is nice. That's also another thing about Doom King and Zombie World is even if you use Appaloosa, if you use Hope Harbinger, if you use Zombie Stein, if you use Dweller, if you use Nightmare Phoenix, anything becomes a zombie. And because it becomes a zombie and it triggers and it activates its effect, you can always force the effect of Doom King to banish a monster in the graveyard or on the field. Non-targeting. It's beautiful. That is it for the main deck. Well, the extra deck. My extra deck. You could always you could always change it. There are like different options you could play. I'm gonna show you guys right now. So you could technically consider Linkuriboh because of the Glow-a-Bloom. It's the only level 1. Another application is just the Lost World token. So sometimes that might be nice just to like link the Lost World token, summon this, and then have like a pointer. Again, I'm not sure like how much it would come up. I figured I'd get the most boring one out of the way first. For the other links you can play. So here's something that's really cool. Actually, I want to go back to Chaos Ruler because Lambda is actually an very interesting option, and I'll tell you why. So with Chaos Ruler, when you excavate your 5, you can and if you excavate a light or dark monster, you add it to your hand. That includes hand traps. So you can excavate uh, like all these hand traps that are dark or light, including gamma, right? Including gamma. And say this card was your third summon. Hypothetically speaking, this card was your third summon. And you get access to another extender, right? And after you excavated, you added the gamma. Another way that you can dodge Appaloosa, not Appaloosa, Nibiru, is you can link this card and the other monster into Lambda, right? And then not only are you protected, well, they would have asked this already, but not you're protected from Nibiru, because if you could, like, depending on your hand, obviously you milled a bunch of cards by that point, so you're gonna extend. And if they attempt to activate Nibiru, then you're just going to negate the Nibiru, summon the driver, and this is the card that you added to your hand with Chaos Ruler, which is so nice. And then you just linked away into Lambda. Because this card just says 2 monsters accept tokens. It's crazy. Like, it could be any 2 monsters. And then now they know that you added the gamma, so they're going to think twice before they try to attempt anything. I don't think any opponent would be dumb enough to attempt to activate Nibiru unless they had a gamma of their own. Like, if they had Nibiru and gamma and they went Nibiru and then you chain gamma, then they chain gamma, okay, then in that situation. But like, if they know you have a gamma and you have Lambda on the field, it's I don't think anybody would unless they want to lose that card advantage and give you advantage. If they attempt to negate with Nibiru, tribute with Nibiru, summon this driver and then make your own Appaloosa. That's crazy, because you're gonna get 2 bodies and then the Lambda. That's 3 cards with different names. Link 2 and 2 more monsters. Link 4, 3 negate Appaloosa after you've negated a card out of their hand, and then plus you'd fuel your graveyard with more lights. So that's one. That's why I wanted to talk about Lambda, just because of that interaction that you could have with Gamma, which is nice. Again, you're gonna excavate this, which is awesome. You're gonna excavate 5 cards. Hopefully you've deck thinned a bit before you resolve Chaos Ruler's effect, so there's a higher chance of you actually adding this card. So yeah, Lambda is also another option. And then moving on with the other links we can play Union Carrier and the Dragon Buster sword. This is actually a very strong option, because you could make Hope Harbinger, right? And then when you make and then after you make Hope Harbinger, you make Union Carrier, and then you could use Union Carrier, target the Hope Harbinger, and then attach Dragon Buster to Hope Harbinger, and now you have that spell negate. But then if they were to try to attack over anything, you're gonna activate the effect of Hope, and it's 3k, so it's very difficult to get rid of this card. They'd have to, like, again, even if they draw like a Cosmic Cyclone, you could just negate it with Hope Harbinger. So this is also another option you could play. It's a card that I might play as well, to be honest with you. It's a dark, it's a dragon, it's a tuner. There's just a lot of good things about this card, honestly. I might consider testing this out for myself. Again, this deck, there's just so many routes you can take with this deck. It's really cool. Another card you could play is Nightmare Griffin. The reason why is because it's fairly easy to get into him. It's 2+ monsters with different names. If he's co-linked, you can reset Zombie World if you've milled it, which is really nice. You could also, if, like, say you milled Monster Reborn, say you milled Foolish Burial, or say you milled one of these powerful spells, or even Chaos Space. Wait, I'm sorry, you don't have. Does it say you can't use it? I totally forgot. Draw 1 card, but it cannot be activated this turn. Okay, so excuse me. I thought that you possibly could have activated them, but that would be too broad. I knew it had a restriction, but it's okay. I mean, like, at least you get that free card advantage back. But it's also just that it's a floodgate effect where linked monsters that aren't linked, like, their effects are negated, which is really nice. And then for the we could play Minerva for our XEs. Minerva is just a really good way to push, extend, fuel the grave even more, get draws if we mill Lightsworn monsters, and then it has that graveyard effect if it gets destroyed. Another cool, now for the Synchros, I chose 2 Synchros that I thought that maybe you guys can play. Actually 3 Synchros, but I don't have the third one, and that's Abyss, Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. It's actually very easy, not like super easy, but it's not uncommon to get into him, because if you have this card in your graveyard or on the field, and then you get access to Needle Fiber, you're going to summon Glow of Bloom, and then Glow of Bloom is a tuner level 1. You could easily make a Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss, which is another Omni Negate for any card on the field. This card's also pretty good because sometimes you just like throw up your entire hand, and it's easy. It's just a Dark Tuner, which is Tracer and Unizombie, and then one more non-tuners. It's fairly easy to make, and then once per turn during either player's turn, when your opponent activates a spell or trap while you have no cards in your hand, you can negate the activation and destroy that card. So it's a very powerful card. Again, you're vomiting your entire hand, and then if you're not, obviously you don't go into him. But if you do, and you have access to a level 8 Synchro, and maybe instead of going into Boral Savage, you're going against a heavy trap deck, heavy spell deck, you could always go into Void Ogre. Coral Dragon is also another good cool option because Plague Spreader is a level 2 Synchro tuner, and then you have a bunch of level 4s, and you're able to go into Coral. It's a tuner, it's a Synchro, and you can discard a card, pop a card your opponent controls, and then if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, it could be as Link material, Synchro material. You'll draw a card. So that card that you discarded, you'll get it back because you're gonna be able to draw off Coral Dragon. So guys, I'm gonna show you guys the hand traps that you can excavate off Chaos Ruler. Why this card is so broken? Like obviously you saw I played no hand traps in the main deck. Because I want to draw as many combo pieces, as many extenders as possible. So sometimes, drawing those hand traps, yeah, they can stop your opponent, but it doesn't really help you extend. So you could side these cards. You could main deck a hand trap. You could actually main deck, like maybe some hand traps just because there's a higher chance of you seeing those hand traps because of Chaos Ruler, because you're going to excavate the top 5. So look at all the light and dark. Look at all the light and dark hand traps that you can excavate. So I showed you the interaction with Gamma. You can excavate Nibiru and add Nibiru because it's a light. You can excavate DD Crow. It's a dark that you can add. You can excavate Veiler. You can excavate Ghost Ogre. It's also a light. Very, very powerful hand traps. This is actually a really underrated hand trap, I think, in the meta too, because it hits dinos, like it hits the dino matchup with, it hits Miscellaneousaurus. And then Veiler obviously is good against combo. Ogre can also stop combo, and Nibiru is really good against combo. And then Skullmeister, it's also a dark. It's a level 4 too, which is really cool. And then plus these two are synchros. So Needle Fiber plays. That also comes up as well. And then for the last one, very, very, very powerful hand trap, Lancia. Again, it's a light that you can add. It's insane. Whenever I ask so this is the only, no, these two cards. These two cards are the cards that I side. This card I don't really side going first. This is mostly the card that I side going first. And I've excavated this card on top of like everything that I've put up. Appaloosa, Hope Harbinger, Doom King. I had this card in my hand and I would just like shotgun it because, now cards like Pot of Desires, Pot of Extravagance are going to be dead. It's just so good. It's so good. It's like the cherry on top, Again, guys, very, very powerful hand traps. There's actually a lot of other cards that you can play. So many cards. I mean, you guys can, I bet so many of you have like ideas of your own. Another cool card that never really saw play is Chaos Daedalus. I'm not sure how to pronounce the name, but this card is actually a decent card. It's more decent going second because of the banish effect. So it's a level 7. It's a dark. It's a chaos monster. You're gonna banish 1 light, 1 dark to summon this card from your hand. If a field spell is face up on the field, okay? So this card can already be relevant going second when you're going up against, say like Invoked, right? Because you're always going to have that field spell for Magical Meltdown. You're going to banish a light and a dark. You're going to summon this card. Obviously, you need some graveyard setup. And then you can banish cards on the field up to the number of face-up field spells. So why this card is actually a bit more relevant in this deck is because of Zombie World, because we easily get access to Zombie World, and there's going to be a better chance of us actually having a face-up field spell to have this card be live. And that banishing effect is non-targeting. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. It is targeting. It says you can target cards on the field up to the number of face-up field spells on the field, banish them. So unfortunately, it does target, but it's just really nice to have that effect. And it's another card that you can just summon from your hand as an extender as well. It's also a 7, and Glow Bloom is a level 1 tuner, so that could get you into your 8s. Like Boral Savage and Chaos Ruler. Just something to think about. Keep in mind, it's not broken by any means. It does require setup, obviously, but it just cards to think about. I just love like brainstorming like new ideas and stuff like this. This card has gotten me extremely excited. Like if you haven't noticed already, this deck has gotten me extremely excited. Something like fresh. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. I really do. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all your feedback as well. Hope you guys have a great day. Take care and peace.